There are more than 1,000 animals here, all requiring tender, loving care to keep them in tip-top condition.
And the more endangered and precious they are, the more challenging they are to look after.
The keepers need to keep their eye on the ball.
As guardians of animal health, their vigilance is critical.
Ready to step in at the first sign of ill health.
But sometimes things happen that are beyond everyone's control.
Especially when those animals are new arrivals and still so vulnerable.
More of that later, but here's what's coming up on today's programme.
Will these formidable new roommates unleash their stinky, spiky weapons?
Can you go back up the tree, little lady, please? Because you're causing me some problems.
Kate hones in on the trit-trot of tiny hooves.
Oh my goodness, it's happened, Tina.
And Violet, the koala's breathing problems worsen.
It's quite mottled in appearance. That just indicates there is lung disease there.
Koala Creek has certainly had its dramas since 5 southern koalas arrived from Australia last year. But caring for these sensitive marsupials is fraught with difficulties, as head of Animal Adventure Graham knows.
With an animal that sleeps 18 hours a day, how do you spot when it's not feeling well?
Koalas are vulnerable to a number of conditions, and earlier in the year, the largest koala, Wilpena, died after developing a serious kidney condition.
You can never prepare yourself for any animals passing.
Then, another koala, Violet, developed a nasty sneeze.
Tissue. You all right?
Began to lose weight and was off her food. Not eating is incredibly dangerous as koalas get all their fluids from their eucalyptus leaf diet. A urine test threw up even more worrying results. In order to rehydrate her, the team had to inject fluids directly into her neck.
All right, pop it. Good go. I know.
Since then, Violet has put on more weight, but her breathing remains troubled. Could a human fix administered by lead keeper John and colleague Chris breathe new life into this koala's treatment?
Potentially, it could be a little bit of asthma or a reaction to something within her airway. So, yeah, the vets have actually brought us some inhalers. We have 2 different inhalers. So we do the Ventolin first, and it's a couple of puffs with that one. Yeah, exactly like one which I've seen many people using. Both inhalers do a slightly different job, but hopefully combined. You should open up the airways. Something that I never thought I would do in my career is giving a koala an inhaler.
But John's not expecting this cantankerous character to be a good patient.
Typically, she is our grumpiest koala. She doesn't like being fussed with too much. We're just hoping now if we can ease her breathing, she'll start eating more and then increasing the weight, and then we'll have our usual grumpy Violet back. We'll just have to watch that branch, because obviously I think she's going to move her head backwards and forwards a little bit.
Cool. 1 dose, 1 to go.
Swap.
Disgruntled, Violet attempts to get away. But she needs her second ventilator. Finally, she takes her last dose, and this moody marsupial can get back to her doze.
Hopefully, it obviously helps her out, and the more we do it, the more she'll get used to it, and it will almost just become part of day-to-day life. So early signs really promising. So hopefully, yeah, hopefully we'll finally get to the bottom of what's going on with her.
Outside of Australia, where their numbers are dwindling, Violet is just one of 4 captive southern koalas in Europe. This grumpy little patient could help safeguard her species if her health improves, but her vitals remain worrying.
Her normal respiratory rate should be down almost about 20 breaths per minute, and at the moment she's sitting at 50 or even 60 breaths per minute, which is, for a koala, it's enormous. That will eventually catch up with her, and she will have some long-term lung damage.
In the worst cases, lung damage can lead to respiratory failure. Can the team get to the bottom of this problem before it's too late? Now, the evidence clearly shows that our Kate is a sucker when it comes to baby animals.
I've never been so happy in my life. Oh, that's adorable. Oh my goodness.
When she hears a rumour that the animal park family has got a little bigger, she's there in a flash, come rain or shine.
I've come up to the East Africa Reserve not to see Stacey, sorry, but you've been upstaged today by a new arrival. Oh my goodness, it's happened, Tina.
Finally has happened.
It's the first zebra foal of the season. Wow, when was she born? Or I'm saying she, is it a she or a he?
90% sure it's a little girl.
Oh,
so it's fantastic. She's now just over 24 hours old. Mum, Olivia, is doing fantastic, and she's quite a big little foal, to be honest.
24 hours, and look at her. I mean, she's almost come out full size.
She's already sort of showing her character. She's following Mum really well. She's already started running around. She's met the giraffe. You know, she's done everything, you know, in that first 24 hours.
I mean, that is the extraordinary thing about these animals. So, was she born at night?
Yes, she was. That's quite common in the wild as well. They feel safer with less predators about.
Yeah.
We normally come in, do the morning check, and there they are.
And they will, I mean, famously get to their feet very quickly, won't they?
Yeah, they have to be up and running because these guys migrate as well. They follow the rains and they follow where the lush grass is.
Yeah.
So Mum has to be up, little one has to be ready to follow just because of predators. And also, Mum can't hang around. She's got to keep up with the herd and carry on going.
Absolutely. She looks so robust on her feet. You know, you'd think she'd still be a little bit wobbly, but not at all.
She's already tried a bit of grass as well. You know,
Wow.
she's already ahead of the game. But we want to make sure
Very precocious.
She is.
It's quite a cold, blustery day today. You could have chosen a better day to give birth, it has to be said.
She's got Mum's warm milk, you know, we've already seen her feeding and everything like that. They're not silly, they'll face away from the rain, they'll go down into the trees
or
and
tuck themselves into the shelter like they're doing at the moment.
They've got to sort of tackle the giraffe there, you know, Thorn likes his space at the moment.
She looks completely unconcerned that she's surrounded by these towering creatures.
And she's just one of those very confident ones, taking it all in her stride.
Got one foal. Do you think everything else in here is expecting?
Fingers crossed, yes. Fingers crossed this is the first, and hopefully we've got at least 4 or 5 more on the way.
Wow.
This year, names for the newborn Grant zebras will begin with the letter T.
And if we think she's female, T. What about Tina? Would that work?
I don't know. Let's not put that out there. Have to let the bosses decide.
I don't think you can ever get bored of the sight of a baby zebra.
It's the ears. It's the
Is that
ears.
what it is for you?
The ears and the long legs. When you see them run across the reserve, just doing what they would naturally do, it's just fantastic, really.
It is fantastic.
From tiny trotters to miniature monkeys who need a hand learning the ropes, as Jean's gone to find out.
Now, I've been asked to bring these rather peculiar things down to Monkey Temple. Abby,
Hi.
I'm intrigued.
Yes.
What are these for?
So we're going to do a little bit of target training with our cotton top tamarins.
Hello.
Yeah. So this is Luana. We train them on different colours. So Luana's colour is green.
Right, so
and
that's
then
for Luana.
Mo, our other cotton top tamarin, her colour is red.
Right.
So the idea is that Luana will only touch the green ball and Mo will only touch the red ball.
I mean, that sounds quite simple, but what are you training them for? What is it you want them to do?
So as you can see, this enclosure is quite open and they can go wherever they want. So they got the ropes all the way across the path and they can also go behind the back of the building as well. But what we'd like to do is keep them more in this area, just so that we can keep a bit of an eye on them.
Sounds good.
Most
Sounds
of the
good in
time.
theory, yeah.
Yeah.
Shall we test if it works?
Yes. This is Luana. She's 8 years old.
She's beautiful.
She is.
So there's green. Oh, right away. Well done. So that's how it goes. You show the colour, click, and give a treat?
Yes. So we start off quite slow and we tell her that the clicker means that she will get a reward. And then once she's learnt that, as soon as she starts touching the green target, we will use the clicker and give her a treat.
Good girl. Oh, you've already got a treat, cheeky monkey. And do you think she recognises this as green?
Yeah.
So if you put something else on the end of this that was green, she would go for that as well?
Yeah, probably, yeah. They've got something called trichromatic vision, which is what we have as well. And they can actually see in 3 different colours. So they can see red, green and blue as well. And the males are a little bit different because they can't see red. But it's that's a nice noise.
She wants to see her target, I think. There you go.
Good girl.
This is working brilliantly, so can I take her for a little walk?
Of course you can.
Right, okay. Here you go, sweetheart, come on. Good girl, and there's a treat. So I guess this is also good if you ever want to give them a health check, Abby, you know, if you have to give them a little looking over.
Yeah, so as you can see, it gets them quite close to us as well, so that we can check them over, check their eyes, ears, mouth, nose, kind of check everything really.
Come on. Well done, good girl. Oh, here comes Mo.
This is Mo.
Okay, so red one for Mo.
Yes.
Let's see if she goes for it. So what challenges have you had training her? I can already see she's a bit more resistant. Come on.
Yeah, so she wants the apple, as you can see, but she's very reluctant to
You've got to work for that apple.
So she sees it and then just walks past it and completely ignores it. So at this stage, any interest that she does show in it, we'll reward her for that, and then hopefully she'll get closer and closer and then eventually touch it. But yeah, she's a lot more interested in the apple at the moment than the target.
So it's kind of a painstaking process?
It is, yeah. It does take a while with some of the monkeys that we have.
I think you might have another few hours before she responds to this.
Yeah, I think
so. 1 hour or 2 is not bad.
No, not
She'll
too
get
bad.
there.
She will.
Now, these 2 species, the porcupine and the meerkat, get on pretty well together. But what happens when you mix something very spiky with something very, very smelly?
Hello, Parsnip.
Behind the scenes, Keeper Sam is checking on an adorable new arrival.
In this room, we have one of our newest residents. We have Parsnip, the North American tree porcupine. We're still getting to know her personality. She's lovely so far. She is a little bit wary of people, and obviously she is quite literally a very prickly customer.
She might look like a powder puff with a face, but beneath Parsnip's soft and fluffy exterior lies a terrifying arsenal.
She is in fact covered in a lot of tiny spines. These guys can have up to 30,000 spines on their body, and especially towards her bottom, they are very solid and very hard. So if they did catch her skin, you're going to know about it, it's going to be painful.
You cannot pick up this parsnip. If this innocent-looking tree dweller feels threatened, she won't hesitate to unleash hell. So Parsnip needs training in order to be transported to her new enclosure.
We're going to do a little bit of box training. She's currently sat on top of a box, so she's very eager, ready to go.
The technique is exactly the same as for the Tamarins. Touch, click, treat.
So at the moment, this is in its really early stages. Long term, I'll hopefully be able to pop it in the crate and get her to follow it in. That also means that my arms are a safe distance from those prickles as well.
While Parsnip and Sam take things slowly, Head of Animal Adventure Graham is up in the forest selecting the final furnishings for arboreal Parsnip's new home.
It's got a good base to be able to put it into the exhibit. So we've come out to part of the forestry on the estate. We're just looking at the trees that are scheduled to be felled. So we're probably looking at something about, maybe 6 to 10 foot. We don't want it too high that she goes right to the top and we can never get her down.
Timber! That little number ought to do it.
The logistics of getting it through the double doors and into the middle was the next challenge. She's got some nice shape and character in it as well. Be great. Perfect.
Now, just how many keepers does it take to move a tree porcupine's perch? With a little help from the construction department, soon Parsnip's new enclosure is ready. But what this spiky little minx doesn't know yet is that she's going to be cohabiting with this bad-smelling guy.
While Violet the cranky koala's breathing problems keep the team on tenterhooks, the gut-wrenching loss of gentle Wilpina to kidney disease several months ago weighs on their minds. But there's a saying, from the darkest hour comes the brightest light.
We were all devastated by the death of Wilpina the koala from kidney disease soon after she arrived here from Australia. But it turns out that her death wasn't in vain. Professor Rachel Tarlington from Nottingham University is being helped by Wilpina to spearhead cutting-edge research to transform our knowledge of koala health. I don't think I've ever met a professor of koalas before. Am I allowed to call you a professor of koalas?
It's not quite my official title, but there aren't very many people that work on them, no.
So you have taken Wilpina back to your laboratory.
Yep.
And from what I understand, she is really helping you.
I mean, I know it's a personal tragedy for the zoo and the animal concerned, but in terms of our research work, it's actually been really critical.
Southern koalas are susceptible to disease. A staggering 30% suffer from the same kidney disease that killed Wilpina. It's called oxalate nephrosis. It's genetic, and its proliferation can be linked to a tragic event over 100 years ago.
In about the late 1800s, early 1900s, they basically went on a giant koala massacre across most of Australia. They just saw them as vermin.
And just didn't like them and got rid of them.
And shot 4 million of them and pretty much wiped them all out.
In the 1890s, conservationists rescued less than 20 individuals, relocating them to offshore islands in southern Victoria. Most of today's animals are descended from this tiny population, and kidney disease runs in the family.
But unfortunately, that genetic weakness is carried on through the generations.
Yeah.
Hello. I'm just going to say, she said, if you're talking about me, I just want to have my moment in the sun. That's the fastest I've ever seen a koala move.
Clearly, Maisie wants to listen in, and right she should. By studying Wilpina's anatomy and DNA, Rachel's getting a much clearer picture of the genes responsible for this devastating disease.
We think we now know what the genetic basis for the oxalate nephrosis problem is.
Right.
So we can look at the mutations in all the genes.
By identifying which koalas carry the disease and which don't, it might be possible to start breeding healthy individuals and eradicate the disease.
It might be that all of them have it,
Right.
in which case we might not be able to do much about breeding it out. If they vary in which copy of the gene they have, then we can look at selecting for the healthy copy of the gene, if you like. So we've just taken a huge step forward.
And Maisie, are you listening? Because it gets even better. By studying Wilpina's DNA, Rachel hopes to find genes that prevent the development of other diseases that are rife in these endangered marsupials, such as a strain of HIV that's particularly prevalent in the northern species of koala.
That's kind of the possibility that this work opens up, that we could actually do something about the diseases and do it at a population level instead of just fixing an individual animal.
Though she wasn't here for long, Wilpina is profoundly missed. But from her death comes an incredible scientific breakthrough that could benefit her entire species for generations to come.
We couldn't have done it without Wilpina's samples, and it's put us massively ahead. We can design tests for them to go back and look in the wild animals, and that possibly would have taken us years otherwise. I trained as a vet, and what every vet wants to do ultimately is, fix a disease, fix the animal, and I'm actually getting to do that, which is really cool.
You are actually vibrating with excitement.
Oh, yes.
It's incredible that Wilpina's legacy could be to help scientists save her species. But have we finally seen the end of the drama in Koala Creek? Worry is mounting over Violet's ongoing breathing issues.
She's kind of taken us on a bit of a roller coaster, to be quite honest. Every morning we come in and it's the first thing we kind of do. We come through the doors, we actually look at her abdomen and see what her breathing rate is.
A healthy koala breathes around 20 to 25 times a minute. But Violet's rate is far higher, and troubling team manager Catriona.
She's been kind of up to 50s at some points. There's something just not right with her.
It's so worrying, Graham has decided further urgent investigation is needed.
Even though we've had her on different courses of antibiotics, she's been on ventilators, she's been on inhalers and different medications to help her lungs, it's still not solved the problem. And really the only way we can do that is to get a swab of her lungs inside, and then we'll be able to direct an antibiotic straight at the problem.
But the only way of gathering the sample and performing other tests is placing Violet under anaesthetic, and that's happening today.
They've got a portable X-ray machine coming in. We're hoping to get some bloods as well. It may be that she does actually just have some scarring or damage to her lungs.
Koala Creek has a clinic on site, which Keeper John is preparing for Violet's procedure. He knows from experience placing any animal under anaesthetic is a real concern.
I've known animals previously that have gone in for quite simple procedures or operations, and they have a really bad reaction to be put under.
James the vet and his team have arrived and begin to set up their equipment in the clinic.
There's a lot of stuff just for this little 6-kilo koala.
It's time to get Violet. To keep her as calm as possible, James, one of her main keepers, collects her.
A really kind of mixed emotional day. We might actually find out some amazing news that we actually now know what's going on, or it might be that we find out some devastating news.
The koalas have only been at Longleat for a short time, but they've made such an impression. The clinic is filled with anxious keepers.
Good girl. Don't like that too much, do you?
Though she's been taking her inhaler, cantankerous Violet fights against the anaesthetic gas. After a minute or so, she's finally out.
Okay. Done.
And the investigation can begin.
We're just checking general health of the bloods, and we're also going to do some specific antibody testing for a few diseases of concern. Bordetella, Cryptococcus and chlamydia.
Bordetella is a bacterial infection, Cryptococcus fungal. But it's chlamydia that's one of the diseases that has decimated the Australian koala population, leading to blindness, infertility and death. Lying on her side, Violet sounds like she's snoring, but worryingly, it's the sound of her damaged respiratory system. The team decide to flip Violet on her front. Her breathing is becoming a concern.
She has got fluid in there.
The lungs and inside chest cavity are lined with a soft layer called the pleura. When they become irritated, they fill up with fluid. If the fluid becomes infected, it can be life-threatening.
Sarah's just monitoring the anaesthetic, and she's just noticed that she's having some difficulties breathing, so she's just repositioned her to make sure that she can get a clear airway.
If they've got disease in their chest and they're led on the non-disease size, and the disease size trying to do all the work, it puts more pressure on their breathing.
Next, Vet Richard needs to take a sample from her throat.
We're just going to swab her airways, see if there are any nasty bugs there.
Fungal infections can range from mild skin rashes to deadly infections like fungal pneumonia.
Right, let's get her settled again and x-rays on.
While Violet gets the x-rays that will confirm if she has lung damage, everyone not wearing a protective vest has to leave the clinic.
I think everybody's just a little bit on tenterhooks, just waiting to see.
All the team can do now is wait and hope Violet will be all right.
She's not great, is she?
Over the past few weeks, keeper Sam has been training Parsnip, the new North American tree porcupine, to follow a target into her carrier. The hard work's paid off. And shortly, Parsnip will be on the move to her new enclosure, where she'll be meeting the animal that will be keeping her company.
Good boy.
Cecil, the one-year-old male skunk, is already in, and keeper Josh is learning this dude's got attitude.
Cecil's been here a good few weeks now. He's my favourite animal. He's absolutely lovely. He's got a little bit of a temper on him. When you first go in the morning, just wake him up, he gets a bit grouchy and he'll do these little stomping actions. And he doesn't often let me stroke his head, so he's in a very good mood today.
Skunks and tree porcupines share the same habitat in North America, but the keepers are always nervous when it comes to mixing animals, particularly when one of them is a spirited chap like Cecil, as keeper Becky knows.
Cecil is a little monster. He's really, really boisterous. He's quite playful. There is a chance that they're going to have a little Mexican standoff a couple of times. But eventually, I'm hoping they will leave each other alone and there'll be a beautiful little partnership.
With Parsnip on her way, Graham's come down to do some final checks.
Move-in day for the tree porcupine, so we're just making sure that everything is escape-proof. Today, the plan will probably be that we keep them separate. We let her get her feet, find her bearings. He's a stinky little creature, and if the two of them meet, we'll just have a really stinky animal adventure for a while, so I'd like to avoid that.
And with Graham's checks complete, it's time for Parsnip to get to grips with her new home.
You coming out, trouble? Oh, what is that? Oh, she's off. Big wide world. She's taking things really slowly, so it's going to be quite an overload for a few minutes, but hopefully she'll go and find a little nest box and have a little snooze when she's ready.
Then, Parsnip appears to catch the unmistakable scent of her new housemate.
And her hackles are up, her hair's up, she is alert, she's fully sort of watching what's going on.
Is it the fragrance of friendship or a whiff of disaster?
In spring, the rising temperatures awoke a surprisingly sensitive species from its slumber. Jean went to help keeper Becky get the sleepy tortoises back up to speed, beginning with George.
So 6 months?
They're going to sleep for 6 months.
Wow.
So it's a very, very long time.
It is a long time, so yeah, I guess you need to give them a health check as
Yes,
soon
we
as they
do.
come out.
So once they've come out of hibernation, we need to make sure that everyone is okay. Just have a look at all of her legs, make sure she's not got any wounds. Her skin is in nice condition.
It's looking good, yeah.
It's looking very good, nice and nice and dry. We don't want anything too moist. We don't want anything fungally. And then we're looking at her eyes as well. We need to make sure there's no gunk in them, nothing nasty, that they're not sunken in. So it's a really good way of telling if a tortoise is poorly, whether they've got sunken in eyes or dehydrated. So her eyes are looking lovely.
Eyes are looking good.
If you look up her nose, have a little look for me.
OK, this is a first, looking up her tortoise
Just
nose.
to make sure it's not snotty, it's not runny.
Very clear.
Tortoises are very susceptible to runny noses, sadly, so we need to make sure she's not got the sniffles. And not many people realise she can feel absolutely everything that goes on her shell. So she has all nerves that are under here as well, just like our fingernails. So she's a lot more sensitive than people realise. She doesn't look it, but she is. She obviously hasn't been to the toilet for the last 6 months. So what we need to do is we need to get some water in her, some fluids in her, and hopefully it's just like, you know, having a nice relaxing bath. Hopefully she'll relax, she'll let everything out that needs to come out, all the toxins that have been building up.
Yeah, that must be a good feeling after 6 months.
It's a relief.
Bath time for you. Should we get her in a bath?
Yes, so we've got some nice warm water,
Okay.
hopefully. So if you could pop that in the tub, please.
Get that in here. So you like this water to be warm?
Has to be nice and warm. She's cold-blooded, and I don't think anyone likes getting into a cold bath.
True.
I know I don't. So that looks perfect to me.
Right. Let's put her in here. And how do you go about washing a tortoise's shell? Do we have a toothbrush or a little scrubber?
No, just nice and gently. If you just start dripping the water on her shell. So she needs to have a nice drink at the moment, which she's doing.
Yeah, the shell's looking really good.
It's looking good. We need it to be nice and clean. Obviously, all their shells are unique. These guys are from the Mediterranean, which is why they've got the beautiful sandy-coloured shells.
Oh. So if you have a tortoise at home, health check?
Health check, really, really important
Yeah.
first thing. Make sure they're drinking. Once they've started drinking, you can then give them some food.
And what's the best meal? Like, you've been asleep for 6 months. What does a tortoise love to eat the minute they wake up?
It really does depend. Generally, a good dandelion leaf.
Oh, right,
Yeah,
okay.
dandelion leaf is the yummiest leaf.
Yeah. OK, well, we'll get some of these sorted for her. You know, I quite like working with the tortoise. You just get nice and chilled out. Everything slows down to their pace.
Quite relaxing.
Yeah, it is.
Spend the afternoon like this.
Sit here and do this all day. Next.
Back now to Spiky meets Stinky. Cecil the skunk and Parsnip the tree porcupine are about to be introduced. Head of Animal Adventure Graham, team manager Catriona and keeper Josh have come armed with shields in case the pair unleash their weapons.
So I think the best thing is for Katrina and I to stay out here. We've got the boards in case the interaction doesn't go to plan. Skunk knows you best, so I think it's probably best if you head inside and then we'll let him out and let him explore and see what he makes of the young lady.
This young lady is bristling with 30,000 killer quills. The stripy stink monster can fire a nostril-bruising stench from 3 meters away. This has the makings of a very dangerous liaison.
Ready to lift the slider, Josh?
Little does Cecil know what awaits him outdoors. Parsnip stays put in her tree, while Cecil senses there's a change in the air.
He's having a good old explore around the enclosure, and just that kind of tail flick going up and down, as if to say he is on alert. He's kind of more focused on eating our food just now.
Which could be a bit of a problem.
You're not eating all of our food, that's not how it works.
Parsnip's not impressed by the food thief intruder. She inches down her tree.
Yeah, she knows.
She knows he's there.
Both on terra firma, the two come face to face. Cecil approaches, a little too close. Parsnip bristles, and with a flick of her tail, Cecil Cecil is clearly in pain.
Oh, young man. Did you get got? Go and grab me the gloves, please. Don't spray.
Graham needs to act fast. Several of Parsnip's razor-sharp quills are lodged in Cecil's snout.
Don't bite. He's sprayed.
Feeling threatened, the skunk releases his silent but deadly weapon.
Just relax, just relax. Oh, you smell that?
A sulphur-containing compound called Foal, so potent it can be smelled half a mile away.
Ah.
Doused in Cecil's stink, Graham needs to take a breather.
Right, give us a minute. Can you go back up the tree, little lady, please? Because you're causing me some problems. Oh, jeez. I got sprayed, for sure. Let's get these spikes out your face. Come here. Nice. Right, Sam with me, please.
Moving inside and taking no risks.
Right, towel over the bum, quick.
Graham tries again. If they can't get the quills out, Cecil could develop a deadly infection.
All right, okay. The one right in the middle of the mouth, don't bite. All right, okay. Okay, all right. Oh, that didn't go very well, did it?
In the wild, a quilled foe wouldn't be able to eat or hunt and would face a lingering death.
It's okay. Just keep him wrapped so he doesn't spray everywhere. There's one that's just in his lip, so we're just going to get a pair of forceps. The worst thing for both of us is the smell. And he's not aggressive, he's just having a bit of a rough time. Cover his bum, please. His tail's right in my face. Okay. Don't bite, please. Okay, super. Oh, my stink. Ugh. Yeah, so I mean that could have gone slightly better, but we've managed to get all the spikes out. The worst of them was just a little one in his mouth. He will take a little bit of time to settle down, and we all smell like onions now. But he now probably, hopefully, knows not to touch a porcupine.
While Cecil protests about his new lodger, Parsnip enjoys having space to stretch her legs at her leisure. And in this spiky, stinky introduction, it's Graham who's come off the worst.
I think my trousers might have to go in the bin. Certainly, they're already turning pink in the knee, so that's the scent and the stain. So, new pair of trousers for me, I think. Yeah, look. I was like, what is that?
And there's more.
So I've managed to lean on a quill as well, which just shows you how sharp they are. But Katrina's going to do the honour and pull it out for me. Just pull it really hard. Ah! I think, sadly, for me, it's Porcupine 2, Skunk 0, Graham 0. We'll live another day, though.
After a prickly start, the two roomies are now rubbing along nicely.
Back at Koala Creek.
Done with the x-rays. If you want to come back in, we're just going to take bloods and wake her up.
Violet's worried keepers can re-enter the clinic. Now the x-rays of her lungs have been taken, and it's not good news.
X-rays did show and confirm that she does have quite bad lung disease.
Before he wakes her, Vet James wants to take a final set of blood samples, but he's aware Violet's been under for over 20 minutes.
The longer the anaesthetic goes on, the greater the risk of complications, so we want a quick anaesthetic, nice and smooth.
The thing with all of this is bringing her back round again and hoping that those lungs reinflate and keep going.
We just stop the actual anaesthetic gas and keep her on oxygen. So her body will eliminate the gas and then she'll wake up slowly. I'll be a lot happier when she's awake and back on the perch and eating.
With Violet still asleep, James reviews the X-rays with Richard.
And then this is the lung field here. That should be nice and black. It's quite mottled in appearance. That just indicates there is lung disease there.
So far, Violet hasn't shown any real signs of stirring.
It might be worth having a on a menu right now, because it's natural, isn't it, rather than med.
Keeper James lifts the sleeping koala into an upright position.
That's definitely stimulated her a bit.
She's far from her cantankerous self.
Quite a lot of effort, isn't there, for her to have a breath?
Yeah.
Sort of major abdominal component.
Down here, isn't it?
Violet finally awakes. Thankfully, she's as grumpy as ever.
Yeah,
there you go. She's coming back.
Take that out of the way then. She just bit the end of it.
She's coming round now. She's already tried to bite the tube, which is a good sign that Violet is as Violet was.
Violet's moved to the recovery room for overnight monitoring.
We'd all leave, give her a bit of time quiet just to get her bearings, and then the vets will come back in and just check her a couple of times before we leave her to it.
And the team couldn't be happier to see her royal grumpiness tuck into her dinner. A few weeks later and the labs are back. Kate and I went to catch up with Graham and Chris.
What have been the results?
We've been on a rollercoaster ride with Violet over the last few months, really, and we've managed to stabilise her. Still not 100% sure what's going on in there. We think she may have some sort of lung disease or a sort of inflammatory lung infection, but she's above us at the moment, and she is stable. She's eating well. Her weights have rocketed through the roof, so she's now back to being our heaviest koala again, and we'll just have to carry on, really, and see how we can keep her stable.
And Chris, I mean, you're with these enchanting creatures every day. This is Maisie, isn't she gorgeous? But as far as Violet is concerned, is she okay with the rest of the group at the moment?
Yeah, actually, she's still the most dominant one.
Really?
So she tells the other ones off sometimes. And Maisie and Kirong are in that top sort of area, and they maybe have a little bit of a squabble. She darts back up and like, what's going on?
So
kind of thing.
despite the fact that she's not, 100%, she's still fitting in well.
Yeah, definitely.
Your new Australian residents have kept you on your feet, haven't they?
Absolutely, yeah. Lots of
Now,
sleepless nights.
Hang on, I need some of this
There you
because
go.
we've got demands coming from all angles. Here we are. There we go. I'm so pleased that you've managed to get Violet on an even keel again. Thank you very much indeed. Sadly, that's all we've got time for on today's programme, but here's what's coming up on the next Animal Park.
Life-saving surgery for one of the rarest residents.
You would actually get that sort of infection situation happening, which in the wild leads to death.
Tearaway zebra Eby's doing time in detention.
Eby's up in the house now because he was being a bit of a naughty boy. With the baby foals that are in there, he could kill them.
And is Yana about to give birth to the tiger cubs the park's waited almost 20 years for?
If we get it, it'd be incredible.